Hello, and thank you for joining us. It's about the economy. Vote your pocketbook, your 401k, and your conscience all at the same time. This is part one. Obama appointed Biden economy czar to directly quarterback the 2009-2016 stock market and economic recovery. Who grew your pocketbook or 401k more, Biden or Trump? Three questions on the quote greatest stock market ever unquote, and that'll help us answer who grew your pocketbook or 401k more. One, highest stock market return for the first 3 years in every index. And the reason why we use that, we'll talk about in just 1 second, the 3 years. Highest rate of return in one day in the stock market in every index, and who had the highest annual average return for their entire time in office in every single index. There's truth in numbers, so we're going to stick raw numbers, an apples to apples look at the stock market growth. When we take a look at the first 3 years in office for each administration in our first analysis, we're doing this because it eliminates the impact of COVID. So we're going to go from January 20th to January 20th, long before COVID hit. We're going to take a look at the highest day in the market for each index, for each administration, which runs the full first 3 years plus the full first 3 quarters. And then we're going to take a look at the entire years in office, a comparison of stock market returns. It's the average annualized returns for each administration. So that's the first 3 years of the Trump administration. Again, we're eliminating COVID, annualized, and the entire 8 years of the Biden czarship, annualized. Please note sources cited are available in the free PDF download, and they're also available in the bottom of each bar, just like here. So let's take a look. We're going to look at the Dow 30, the S&P 500, the Russell 2000, and the NASDAQ, the four cornerstones of the market. Each of these silos, each of these indices are going to have a little graph at the bottom. They're going to show when the administration started, what the number stood at when they walked in the door, their 3-year anniversary, and then also what the number was on the 3-year anniversary. And then we're going to look at the gain or the loss. So here we have a gain of 9,520 points, and we're going to look at what that meant percentage-wise, because that's what matters to you and me, percentage-wise. How much did I make on my investment? Well, if for every $1,000 that you had in the marketplace, the day that Donald Trump walked in the door to his 3rd year anniversary, you would not have had $1,000. You would have grown it to $1,480. And you're going to see that kind of growth right across the board. In the mid-cap market, represented by the S&P 500, there's Russell, which is representing the small cap, and the NASDAQ, which is representing the technology, which is great. The question is, how does that compare to the Biden czarship? Well, he walked in on this date. This is where the Dow 30 stood. It stood a lot lower than when Trump walked into the door, right? This goes a long time ago. And then this is his 3rd year anniversary. This is where the market stood at, and this was his gain, 4,771. Now let's just pause here, because this is where a lot of people get confused. 4,771 is roughly half of the 9,500. So people think, oh, well, clearly the Trump administration did a much better job. They gained 9,500 points. Meanwhile, Biden only gained 4,700 points. But remember, he started at a much lower number. It's always about the percentage. What did the investment return? Well, your investment in the Biden administration actually returned 60% compared to Trump's 48%. So you would have had more money in the first full 3 years for every $1,000 that you had in the market when Biden took over and ran the market for 3 years, as opposed to Trump. Same thing holds true right across the board. And the numbers are here. You can download the PDF, examine this, peruse this. Something a little disturbing. You see the Russell? That is the small end of the marketplace. Everybody agrees that the small to medium business marketplace is the backbone of the economy. Well, we have to pay attention to that. Okay. How about the highest day? Well, the highest day, it turns out it's the exact same story. Biden's administration, from the number from the day that they walked in the door to the highest day that they had in that time period, and that's the first 3 years for each administration plus the full first 3 quarters, Biden outperforms the Trump administration, hands down. Okay, what about the average annualized? That's a good first 3 years. What happened to the rest of the time? Did Biden stumble out of the gate? Well, we're going to take a look at that. This is the average annualized returns for the Trump administration, which looks pretty good until you compare them against the average annualized returns of the Biden czarship, which means that, again, Biden outperformed. The red is the average annualized returns of the Trump administration. The blue is the average annualized return of the Obama-Biden administration, with Biden as economy czar. Okay, so I think we have the answers to our questions. Who had the highest stock market return? Who had the highest rate of return in one day? And who had the highest annual average return for the entire time in office in every single index? Biden, Biden, Biden. Okay, He clearly grew your pocketbook more. So then how can Trump claim all-time highs? Look, he started with a much higher number. He inherited a much higher number. Therefore, even if he grew the markets by 0%, he could still make that claim. We're at highs because he inherited the market at highs. But as just saw, even with the gains Trump's stock market generated, which were lower than Biden's, the Trump stock market did not generate the high returns in investment accounts. For the record, that was Joe Biden. So, can you vote your pocketbook, vote your 401k, and vote your conscious soul at the same time? I think you see where this is going, and I think the answer is yes. Please vote Biden Harris. And by the way, thanks for watching. Please share this in social media, watch the other videos, and by all means, click to get a PDF copy of this report.